Hello there and welcome to News Tonight. It is Wednesday, the 14th day of August 2019. Our top stories. Museveni warns against university strikes.
Malaria cases are on a rise, 65 districts affected.
Police UCDA impound illegal coffee for export.
And in business, Absa to replace Barclays by the end of the year.
And on the sports scene, Rugby Cranes head coach drops players ahead of Victoria Cup. Hello there and welcome once again. We are coming to you live on air and online. You can follow our programs, especially the news on Facebook. Our Facebook page is UBC TV, and also on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is at UBC TV. Mugalu Mohammed is on sign language, and I am Edward Rukidi Kijanangoma.
And Patricia Lakoma.
And let's get started. President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has commended the national youth leaders for appreciating his efforts in the recently concluded countrywide zonal tours dedicated to sensitization of wananchi on job and wealth creation in order to banish household poverty. Now, the president was today speaking during the National Youth Conference that took place at Dam Waters, Old Boma village of Jinja Central in Jinja Municipality.
Now, Mr. Museveni, who addressed the conference on Value Edition, said that government is planning to open up a leather tanning industry in Loweru district so that local animal hides and skins in the country are processed into finished products, adding that this will go a long way in creating employment for the youth. He advised the youth leaders in the country to use their energy to serve their people, saying that the ideology of one group was what came to be the now National Resistance Movement.
Take a look.
If you don't have a vision how people can get out of their problem, go and sit in your home and just mismanage your own home. So you don't spread mismanagement to a wider unit. Because that's what leadership is about. It's about showing the way. It is not carrying people on your head. It is showing you how people can get out of their problems. Because of ignorance. And you are just sitting there with them. Many of them have land, but they don't know how to use it to generate income for themselves. And then we waste a lot of time. We are leaders. We are leaders of what? Leading people who are stuck in a historical stagnation. What sort of leaders are you? Now, regarding your request of personal money for yourselves, now that one, of course, I have 3.4 billion. That's not a problem. But the landmine for you is for you to ask it for yourselves. I can tell you, one thing you should always avoid is to put yourself first. That is a death sentence for you, I can tell you. That is a death sentence for yourself. You are the one who is running around with the most beautiful girls on campus. When you are a leader, and you are just running around without serious arrangement, big problem for you. You will soon disappear as a leader, because people will see you as a selfish person. I'm telling you this, I'm not ready to kill you.
President,
quite an interesting discussion with the youth
leaders, but also cautioning them against just being lazy. They must work very hard in order to develop this country.
Very interesting. Now, in another story, a section of members of parliament have poked holes in the NSSF proposed amendment bill 2019.
Now, the proposed amendment bill 2019 that, among others, seeks to exempt workers' contribution from taxation, but instead tax members' retirement benefits. Let's get more in this report.
The NSSF 2019 bill that seeks to amend the National Social Security Act Cap 222 was on Tuesday tabled on the floor for the first reading. The bill seeks to have, among others, all workers of the formal sector contribute to the NSSF, informal workers to make voluntary contributions, NSSF to lend government, and members' benefits to be taxed on retirement. The bill has been laid on the floor of Parliament for the first reading.
Right Honourable Speaker, Madam, I beg to lay the bill entitled the National Social Security Fund Amendment Bill 2019. I beg to lay. Speaker, I beg to lay on table the Certificate of Financial Implications for the National Social Security Fund Amendment Bill 2019, dated 1st August 2019. I beg to lay.
This has raised mixed reactions among stakeholders, especially on retirement benefit taxation and lending to government.
It means also that government employees who benefit from gratuity, who benefit from pension, it should also be subjected to tax. So, honestly, government in good faith, this is unacceptable.
There are options for government. World Bank has been there. There are other options we can borrow from abroad. We can even go for commercial loans where necessary, really necessary. But the issue of allowing a provision that allows government to borrow from NSSF, as a person, I don't support it.
The current NSSF law that was enacted in 1985, according to government, does not address emerging challenges in the management of the National Social Security Fund. This is why government is seeking amendment of the law to relax the expansion of the NSSF services.
NSSF money should not be kept in bulk, because as of now, the other time, it should not be kept in a bank, in a private bank, because they will even be lending it. The system should be designed that the money goes straight to an individual's account, but you are not allowed to access it until after your retirement.
Legislators say lending to government is not reliable as it may breed corruption gaps.
We don't want a scenario where people are demanding their benefits from NSSF and NSSF is claiming that they cannot pay the benefits because government borrowed the money and it's not available. So what measure are going to put in place to ensure that our money is available as and when we need it and that government becomes a good borrower?
Borrowing a loan is not a bad thing per se, but the way we utilize these loans, let us first put it into what? Into proper use. Let us put the loans into proper use before we talk about opening up NSSF for borrowing.
Ora County Member of Parliament Lawrence Biikasonga says government can widen its tax base through addressing challenges that increase government income rather than expenditure.
And you know sometimes why we borrow? We borrow because there is pressure. We also borrow because we want to develop some priority infrastructure, priority infrastructure that are of economic value. If we know that if we make this road, it is going to generate more money, that one we can borrow, even at a higher interest rate. But if the initiative where we are borrowing for is not of priority, is going to be more on consumption, then we should not bother about borrowing for such development because it will be a burden to the population to pay the loan in the long run for nothing.
They advised the government to check on its expenditure vis-a-vis its income.
We need to generate our own money without borrowing. If we are borrowing, it must borrow for priority sector. To generate our own money, we must address the 7 factors that can address the challenges.
The expenditure actually is bigger than the income. So we've been operating in deficits. That's why at the end of every financial year, you find all the government entities, the parastatals, all of them, they've not hit their budget to 100%.
Legislators also recommend further consultation on the amendment. Nevertheless, the issues to be considered by the amendment is that senior citizens above 60 years of age shall be exempted from benefits tax and all current contributions to the funds shall be tax exempted. Susan Naonga reporting.
Thanks, Susan, for that report there. Now let's shift gears and look at what is happening as far as education is concerned. And President Yoweri Museveni has warned against strikes in institutions of higher learning across the country, saying that government is already working on a lasting solution as regards the issue of salary enhancement and welfare of the teachers in Uganda.
Now, the president was last evening addressing a meeting of education leaders to both teaching and non-teaching staff of government schools and universities at State House, Entebbe.
Now, the meeting yesterday follows a standoff in May this year where teachers took industrial action demanding salary and welfare enhancement. Government has since made good its commitment and availed 150 billion shillings towards salary enhancement to the education sector, with 13 billion shillings committed to primary, secondary and tertiary institutions, while 15 billion went to public universities.
My real strong advice is that those strikes should stop, because we are not going to, what Baguma was saying has got a gap. But since we had finished the debate, those very important teachers, their importance must be together with the importance of the country. You must have a country first, then you have those important teachers. If you don't have a country, those teachers will not be there. Or they will go and teach somewhere else. There are no teachers in Somalia. They have run away. That's why you see so many Somalis here. So that line of yours, where teachers are very important, very this and that. Yes, they're important, but they are not important alone. They are important as part of a package. The country must be there. And I spent many hours here talking about the LCM. Those teachers, those important teachers need a road. They need security. So that sort of confusion should stop. Because you are just misleading yourselves. So strike should end. That's my advice. That's my real advice. Because I have sat here, showed you all what can be done. Now you say there's a strike, there's what? So those strikes should stop.
What the president was saying showed, I wanted to show you just an example of this selfishness, the spirit among parts of us, of our workers, because we have discussed this matter since 2018. In this year alone, we have discussed it maybe more than 5 times or so, and we don't conclude because more issues come up when we are concluding, and then demands come up that the president must come and address you. And so, as far as we were concerned, really, as government, we believed that now we're coming here to discuss on top of what government has managed to do this year, so that all of us as Ugandans agree that this is a problem that we must solve together.
And now issues to do with the landlord bill, as the president is yet to assent to the landlord and tenants bill passed by parliament recently. There is a lot of underground negotiations, especially from the landlords concerned with most of the provisions therein.
Now, in light of this, Uganda Broadcasting Corporation has organized a live debate this Thursday featuring key stakeholders and technocrats from the real estate and academicians to help scrutinize and dissect the bill further, suddenly to determine its future.
And in this story, we'll once again refresh you to take a look at the salient issues that sparked controversy, much as the tenants had their smile.
Deep in the soil, ants have a sanctuary to call home, like the birds will retire to their nests at the fall of the day. For 200,000 years lived on Earth, mankind has continued to transform shelter from caves to today's bungalows.
When I was growing up in my constituency, a significant proportion of people lived in grass-thatched houses. But as our society is advanced, people began a competition that they must move from grass-thatched houses to iron sheets and other modern roofing materials and permanent houses. And the constituency that I represent, you can hardly find someone who lives in a grass-thatched house. The competition actually now is to graduate from the ordinary white iron sheets to the colored iron sheets, because they now look fancy and are a sign of modernity and so forth.
Therefore, for every standing building in town is a landlord who invests substantial amounts of money for their benefit. Housing is essential for well-being of all, recognized by international charters and national constitutions. The need for adequate housing isn't about to be fulfilled. Uganda has a housing shortage of 1.6 million units out of the 7.3 million households.
We have a housing crisis whereby we still have a huge shortage, a huge deficit in terms of housing, especially in urban areas.
As landlords erect structures, tenants too seek to utilize the buildings. The result is the rent that is determined by the landlord. This has resulted into dissatisfaction. The gates and doors of most structures in the central business district of the capital, Kampala, have characteristics of undersizable key and locks. There is a bill passed by Parliament to forcefully regulate the relation between the tenants and the landlords.
This bill has been long overdue, because if you can follow the matters, we started demanding for a similar bill way back in 2006 because we wanted to legislate for the tenants and the landlords' relationship because we had seen so many wrangles and so many businesses had issues.
Immediate lingering fear about this bill borders on the likelihood of the housing backlog in the country worsening to uncontrollable levels.
The Tenants Act is a kind of superfluous. We already have laws about contracting.
There are some realities. If you walk into a law firm like this and say, I want to rent space, my job as a lawyer is to write you an agreement. But if I am the owner of the building in Chikuvo and I didn't go to school, and you want me to go and find a lawyer to translate the agreement before I can sign it, and I have my building, I will tell you, move in or go away. Don't disturb me. What will you do?
It's just additional legislation. And the biggest problem with all our legislation is the enforceability of these laws. It's not that we don't have laws. We have a law on contract. So the relationship between a tenant and a landlord is a contractual relationship which can be governed under those laws. So
the expected outcome of this law in the making is the killing of liberalization and eventual retardation of the economy, argued on the basis of the provisions aimed at controlling landlords from charging rent in dollars.
That is wrong because we are running a liberal economy, okay? So a liberal economy, we have liberalized use of foreign exchange. I think the whole idea of using dollars is for people who are investing to inflation-proof their businesses. Some of these loans have also been acquired in dollars.
Even in economics, we don't talk about perfect market, because perfect market would mean that there is no intervention by government, there is no taxation, or market forces would be at play. But again, we regulate, we put up stopbacks. We make sure that as government we don't go for you don't go for a public holiday or on a beach and you start taking sausages thinking I have already put my economy is liberalized, I will just collect taxes and that is it. Incidentally, you must control, you must put measures to make sure that there is control over the resources.
That some investors in real estates, they borrow money in dollars, and therefore they should charge the dollars. That is also a very weak argument because there are very many traders who transact in dollars. For instance, importers, those who import clothing, furniture, and all these imported items. They buy them from China, from Dubai, and from Turkey, and they pay in foreign currency there. But when they come into Uganda, they convert the pricing into Uganda shillings, and they make profit.
The only way that argument would make sense away from absurdity is that you're going to say, no, let everyone providing a service charge in shillings. Even me, pay me in shillings. You see, that means that lawyers shouldn't bill in dollars, fuel should not, taxes should be paid in shillings. All these things should be based on a shilling value.
We must look at the majority in that sector. If we look at hotels, most hotels, people who come to sleep in hotels are people who come from abroad. It is very rare for you to find hotels that are up country that are going to charge people in dollars. But because we recognize that tourists come with foreign currency, we permit that for hotels, let them pay in dollars.
And requires issuance of eviction notice of 6 months.
Because the problem is more to do with the poor enforcement of rights of tenants. Okay? But if people are going to be able to stay in your house without paying for 6 months, then that even makes the contract worse. It makes it one-sided.
A landlord should not increase rent by more than 10% in a year. And when you look at other jurisdictions in many other countries, they actually cap this increment in rent. And in most of the countries, it doesn't go beyond 4%.
I have my property, I should be able to say how I use my property. The law is saying, no, let's protect the interests of the consumers. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I think it depends on where you stand.
So, really, it's not a very prohibitive provision, but it is just to regulate. Because we also don't want landlords to create an artificial housing market. Somebody rises in a night and increases the rent by 300%. Why don't you be fair to the tenant also? Because we have seen situations in Kampala where tenants who are renting these commercial premises, they wake up to work and find padlocks on the building.
And of course, the landlord and tenant bill is quite a broad topic to exhaust.
And of course, the viewer has a chance to tune into UBC tomorrow to at least get different perspectives in as far as that tenant and land bill is concerned, and that will be live here on UBC TV tomorrow.
It's time for us to take a short break, but don't go away. UBC Tonight. We'll be back.
Every dream has a challenging journey. Ours began in 1998 with a mission to drive the development of a robust communications sector in Uganda. We created structures to champion the dream. We've evolved, made discoveries, supported great minds, empowered Ugandans, and fostered a vibrant culture, enabling communication for all. Down the years, we've created memories and networks, uniting generations and building great partnerships. Together, we can go even further. UCC, celebrating 20 years of achievements.
Have you completed Senior 4 or Senior 6 and you want to do a 2-year certificate or a diploma course? Makerere Institute for Social Development, an affiliate to Makerere Business School, offers programs in accounting and finance, business administration, procurement and supplies management, social work and social administration, information technology, counseling and guidance, human resource, project planning and management, journalism, secretarial studies, and many others. We are located on Apollo Kegwa Road, next to Oilcom Petrol Station, with a UBTEP Center number.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Pain Arena. Introducing on the right corner, Mr. Action, the reigning heavyweight champion in the ring against
the Headache, the #1 contender. And the bell rings.
Headache charges forward with a steady right and a left hook. Action dodges. He misses out with an inch. Wait a minute. Mr. Action launches back with a kick. The final blow. He is out.
If symptoms persist, seek medical advice. The Parliament of Uganda will host the 64th Commonwealth Parliamentary Conference from the 22nd to the 29th of September 2019 at the Munyonyo Commonwealth Resort. The conference provides an opportunity for parliaments to discuss best practices, governance values, and socio-economic aspirations of the Commonwealth. The conference will run under the theme Adoption, Engagement, and Evolution of Parliaments in a Rapidly Changing Commonwealth. Discussions will focus on climate change, innovations in parliaments, persons with disabilities, youth, urbanization, sexual harassment, and separation of powers, among other topics. More than 1,000 delegates from 54 countries are expected, and this will be an opportunity for Ugandans in the social and economic sectors to benefit by providing their services. Follow us on the hashtag 64CPC2019 and on Facebook at 64th Commonwealth Parliamentary Conference. This message is brought to you by the Clerk to Parliament.
Welcome back from that short break, and this is News Tonight here on UBC TV. Now let's move on. Residents of Nachitolo village in Tamu division, Mityana municipality, have killed people suspected to be thieves. Now the deceased, suspected to be thieves, were found with suspected meat on a pickup truck.
Now the pickup truck registration number UAR 621, in which the meat was being carried, was also burnt to ashes.
I was told by a neighbor that 2 thieves have been killed, and when I checked on my house, one was missing.
Yes, I asked the thief where they are from, and he told me they were hired from Kampala to come and steal.
I appeal to the youth to work, and I am requesting police to deal with the suspects caught in any theft.
And of course, that is what happened there. But in another development, 2 people have been hit dead by a gas cylinder in Mityana, Rwamika, Namayumba County, leaving 2 others in critical condition.
It is alleged that the gas was being used by welders. And of course, the bodies of the deceased have been taken to Molago Hospital for post-mortem.
Mr. Jagenda brought his gas cylinder for repair, but unfortunately, he was hit dead by the cylinder. If it was not the tree, the cylinder would have hit people in the market and they would have died.
Now, Lango sub-region of you wanted to say something?
Yes, very sad. Of course, those people there, the gas cylinder hitting them, and it's really.
It sounds like an accident.
It's unfortunate. Yes. It's an accident, but also people have to be very, very careful when it comes to, using such, things like gas cylinders. A small leakage like this, and then it's trouble.
It's also a rare thing that has happened. Okay, now moving on, in another story, Lango sub-region in northern Uganda has embraced commercial farming as per NRM manifesto. Lera and Oyam districts, with support from government, are taking the lead in rice growing, and according to leaders, more lives have been transformed, as we hear in this report.
In Uganda, rice growing is considered as one of the strategic agricultural enterprises with the potential to contribute to increasing rural incomes and livelihoods and improving food and nutrition security. The crop, popular in the Busoga region, has shifted to northern Uganda, and farmers in Lango sub-region are reaping big. Sitting on 1,500 acres of land is Orange rice scheme in Lira district, covering 3 sub-counties of Amach, Agali and Bal. The scheme was initiated in 1999 but failed to take off due to inadequate funding from government. However, the 47 billion shilling rehabilitation work launched in 2015 saw 7 water dams reconstructed to provide water for irrigation. Water is pumped into farmers' fields by means of gravity.
So we have the main dam there, that is the Itek main dam. This is the control house. You release water from the control house here, that it goes to the field. If you need it even about 20 kilometers away, you keep on going, but only that you have to close those gates to let it go. So that's the science of what we are using here. The water goes to the field at no cost.
The scheme directly benefits 1,500 farmers, including Unisa Yuge.
And as I talk, I'm going to harvest within 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, I'm going to replace another one. So in a year, you can find out that I'm going to harvest 2 times. 4 million per season. Okay. So if it is 2 seasons, can get like 8 million.
Maurice Engen, the chairperson of the 1,500 member Iteke or Kiri Rice Growers and Multipurpose Cooperative Society Limited, says rice growing is a game changer for Lango sub-region, including the 6,000 youth.
The advantage I've seen with this project, it is changing the trend of the community. For example, when in that training center where you are in 2000 we have number 3 Mabati house. But now you can see all those houses, over 100 commercial houses coming out. And each house has a secret of the rice growing.
That rice has helped our family a lot, especially for food and for paying the school fees of the children, and it has improved the standard of living in our family. And again, when she borrowed the loan, she just returned it back peacefully without any inconvenience because of rice. Okay. Especially in paying the school fees of our children, and in addition to that, it has helped her a lot.
Farmers want government to provide modern machines for harvesting.
If possible, government of Uganda should give us more tractor to make our work easier. Okay. And government also should give us threshers, because we are also using our hands for.
Olwenyi rice scheme is being rehabilitated alongside other irrigation schemes in different parts of the country to improve farm incomes, food security and rural livelihoods in Uganda as per the NRM manifesto. A team from the Manifesto Implementation Unit, Office of the President, currently on oversight visit in Lango sub-region, also visited the 28 billion shillings Torch irrigation scheme in Miene sub-county, Oyam district, which is nearing completion.
It is designed to irrigate 500 hectares of land that can benefit 1,000 households.
The works at the Torch irrigation scheme is at 80%. And they have indicated that works are estimated to be completed in January 2020. We hope the project will bring quite a number of benefits to the sub-region, and being a new scheme here, we hope a number of people will embrace the project. This is one of the manifesto commitments that were pledged by HE, the President, and we hope a good number of people will benefit from the project.
More than 1,000 households in Oyam are set to benefit from Torch irrigation scheme once completed. The development comes at a time when government is considering banning importation of rice from other countries to ensure sustainable local production to satisfy the demand. According to the Minister of Agriculture, Animal Industries and Fisheries, Uganda has been importing rice worth more than $200 million, approximately 700 billion Uganda shillings every year. Bernard Iga, UBC TV, Lango sub-region.
Well, thank you very much there, Bernard Iga. Well, it's very interesting there, rice growing, changing livelihood in Lango.
Oh yes, that's very important. Now, civil society is agitating for the adoption of free e-learning platform in Uganda as a way government can achieve this year's International Youth Theme of Education Transformation.
Now, this call was made in the stakeholders' engagement between youth and civil society organized by the European Union.
The theme of International Youth Day 2019 states, transforming education highlights efforts to make education more relevant, equitable and inclusive for all youth, including efforts by youth themselves. To ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities, civil societies are calling upon the government to offer free e-learning platform for easy accessibility.
Can government create an online library that is not charged on normal bundles, the way we have Facebook Zero, the telecom networks, so that young people can access books which are not there in libraries? Can we access tutorials? Can we have an e-learning platform that is shared nationally to be able to help young people with sciences, young people with arts, and have tutorials, uploaded videos and so on? And this platform is accessible to any young person in Uganda using any network without internet.
Emmanuel Wabuid, Executive Director for Raj Foundation, says youth need more of digital skills for employability, wealth creation and social change.
Most importantly is how can young people have more access to skills education in their curriculum, because our curriculum is looking at more theoretical.
Elizabeth Ongom, European Union envoy, expressed the need for direct engagement of young people if the desired transformation is to be achieved.
In any development setting,
all stakeholders participate. And in Uganda, particularly young voices are particularly important because the youth is the majority.
Young people, youth-led and youth-focused organizations, as well as other stakeholders, have shared views on how Uganda's education curriculum can be revised to reach transformation education and how these efforts can contribute to the achievement of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development.
One teacher to 70 students in the classroom, for example. So young people are advocating to have at least more teachers and having at least a proportion of 1 to 25 or 30.
They are competence-based curriculum, not one where you go and study for 16 years, from primary to university, and then they gauge your abilities in just 3 hours.
The future of education must, and I repeat, must ensure that the rich and the privileged don't manipulate the poor to use the opportunities to better themselves. People here in Kampala with children in St. Mary's Chitende, in Namagunga, who are born from our districts, but when it comes to senior 6, they register them to switch from Soroti. A child who studied there from B1 to senior 6 has gotten 15 points. But because a rich man brought a child from Kampala, goes and takes the opportunity of a poor person there.
Education is a development multiplier. It plays a pivotal role in the accelerating progress across all 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and making education more relevant, equitable, and inclusive is crucial to achieving sustainable development. Abdul Nasili Luwama reporting.
Thank you, Abdul Nasir Luwama, for that report there. Now let's look at malaria. And of course, this is something that most Ugandans should actually take interest in, where a total of 65 districts have been hit by malaria, and the Ministry of Health has described it as an upsurge, which started in June this year.
Now, Minister for Health, Dr. Jen Rotha Cheng, confirms the development and has urged health officials in the affected districts to ensure that there are enough anti-malarial drugs.
Cases of malaria have risen by over 400,000 compared to last year, from about 1 million cases in June 2018 to 1.4 million cases in June 2019, an increase of 40%. Records from the Ministry of Health show that 65 districts in 10 regions of West Nile, Acholi, Lango, Busoga, Bunyoro, Buganda, Karamoja, Teso, Eastern and Western are the most affected. Despite the current rise in malaria cases, the Ministry of Health boasts of the drop in malaria prevalence in the last decade from 42% in 2009 to 19% in 2014 and now to 9% in 2019. So the question is, what has caused the current increase in malaria cases? And will Uganda achieve the global goal of ending malaria by 2030?
The first, seasonality. Most numbers of malaria cases occur during the period of June to July, during the rainy season. The second is climate change. Prolonged intermittent rains in various parts of the country that have lasted till to date, that is August 2019. The third is reduced net ownership and use due to the aging of nets distributed in financial year 2017-2018, when we had the mass long-lasting insecticide-treated net campaign.
Very much on track. What we are seeing is just a seasonal variation and an upsurge, except community is now very sensitized. So we are very much on track. This is just a seasonal variation.
However, the Ministry of Health has put in place some mitigation measures to reduce the number of malaria cases.
We have also revised the quantification of ACTs for this financial year to take into account this increase in cases. We are redistributing malaria commodities from facility and districts with overstocks to those with inadequate stock of malaria commodities. The ministry is working with the private sector to ensure that they have adequate stocks of subsidized anti-malarial medication.
Malaria still remains top on the list of the disease burden, especially in sub-Saharan Africa, where 43% of the population is at risk of dying from malaria, according to the World Health Organization. Bella Masangano and Adia Nakuti for UBC News.
Bella and Adia, thank you so much for that story there. Now let's go further north to Gulu, where Gulu leaders who boast of a well-planned infrastructure in the town are ironically challenged by the proper use of roads.
Now, the leaders say that the NRA manifesto for 2016 has approximately scored 60%, and they are optimistic that more achievements shall be registered. Ivan Kahwa now reports.
We apologize for that story. We're having a technical problem, but we'll be continuing now with our news, and we're looking at issues pertaining to people with disability in the country, where the National Council for Disability has asked government to increase its funding to 3 billion shillings.
Now, the council decries the 1 billion shillings allocated to them as insufficient for the council's mandate.
Now, this was said at the District Councils of Disability during their annual general conference held here in Kampala.
Need so much money.
14% of the Ugandan population is categorized as people with disability. According to the National Council of Disability, this population is huge compared to the funds they receive, despite government's increment in the funding of the National Council of Disability. The General District Council's Disability Conference held in Kampala today shows that the annual budget allocation provided by government in the financial year 2015-2016 and 2016-2017 was 836 million, but the actual release was 338 million shillings only, representing 40.4% of the total allocation. In the financial year 2017-2018 and 2018-2019, the allocation of the council was increased to 1,236 million, but the actual funds received was a mega 958 million.
Even funding has become a problem. There have been budget cuts, and we are now suspecting, since we are entering a political time, it is possible that it will still drop.
Lesser advocates for government to increase its budget allocation to 3 billion.
So, we need more money, up to a tune of at least 3 billion shillings.
Well, it's time for us to go back to that story that we missed, where Gulu leaders who boast of a well-planned infrastructure in the town are ironically, challenged by the improper use of roads.
Gulu district is situated in the northern region of Uganda, one of the best planned districts, soon becoming a city. A drive from Kampala to Gulu has a first-class tarmac stretch. Roads have signage to guide road users as they move along. As you approach Gulu town, well-designed signposts welcome you. A tour through Gulu town, I witnessed a number of roads under construction. Most of them are complete.
And the actually community, we are so proud of it. And our town has changed, our city has changed. It's going to be the smartest in Uganda. Look at the road network. You drive as if you are driving on the glass. Tell me when you are not proud of that. So it is only the income. If the society, the business community can now be empowered, we change the structures around these beautiful roads around, then we are good to go.
But there's one unfulfilled one. That's the road from Palabek to Atiak via Palar. That road is not yet worked on, and that was one of his manifestos.
We have also been given 18 billion shillings to extend where the city catchment will, the boundaries.
The challenge here, however, is maintaining the roads and keeping them clean.
We need to engage on PPP. If municipality can now say, MTN, this is your road, you advertise on it, but you maintain it, slash it. That is the way to go.
On every roadsides are garbage cans, with the corridors having trees planted on them.
These are small skips. You are supposed to throw very small thing, but you don't bring the whole sack of cassava peeling from your home, potatoes peeling, and then you pour there the remaining one, you put it next to it. No, it is not meant for that. So we continue sensitizing the public, but still the public, I don't know how I can say it, it is mindset that we really need to fight. And it will take us a little bit of time. And I also ask people to be a little bit patient with our people as they begin to adopt how to use these modern facilities.
But generally, how has the implementation of the NRM manifesto performed in Gulu?
I want to say that based on the manifesto government gave us during 2016 general election, at least something tangible has been done. Maybe not to the real expectation of others, but in terms of percentage, they have achieved over 60 to 70%.
According to the NRM manifesto, they have implemented some. I would say the greatest percentage has been implemented, leaving out the other percentage. I would say, as per now, that 60%.
I'm now in Gulu district, and this is where I'm going to spend my night. But before coming into this room where I'm going to spend a night, I moved out to have a night vision of this place. Besides the hotel I'm going to sleep in, there is Peche War Memorial Stadium, and when you look at the roads, they're really amazing and they're really looking nice. Thanks to the USMID project that has made this possible. Motorcycle riders are riding at their own pace, pedestrians are moving freely. Gone are the days when no one could move at this time of the night. Well, I'm camping in Acholi sub-region, and I'm here specifically to assess whether the key points captured in the NRM manifesto have been implemented. Ivan Kawa is my name. For now, I'll have some rest.
I hear.
Indeed, Kawa, you can have a good night's rest. It's from that story that we'll be taking the short break. But Patricia Lukoma will be coming back to give you all that's happening in the world of business and international news. Stay with us.
Nabubi yazimba kumutyo muwanvu enkuba yatonya nabubi yakwa
Welcome back from that short break. It's time for us to look at what's making headlines in the business world. Now, starting off with coffee smuggling, police and Uganda Coffee Development Authority have intercepted and impounded 190 coffee bags that were being smuggled with other goods to South Sudan during an operation to crack down illegal coffee exports. Kampala Metropolitan Police spokesperson Patrick Onyango has urged all people dealing in the coffee trade business to register with Uganda Coffee Development Authority.
Stranded at Naweru police post after asking for the key to open the lorry they suspected was carrying coffee outside the country illegally in vain. The only option was to break the padlock of the lorry to start their investigations, says the owner at the time of impounding reported that it contained beans, maize flour and mattresses. They embarked on the work of offloading all the products, only to affirm their suspicion of illegal trade. Large amounts of unregistered coffee were being exported. Uganda Coffee Development Authority embarked on this operation to crack down illegal export of coffee after realizing a mismatch of growth between production and exportation.
Each lorry going every day has this kind of quantity of coffee. This means Uganda, we have a lot of coffee, but a lot of it is not recognized, not recorded. So, we have found out that the job at hand is huge.
Through the operation, they discovered 190 bags of coffee of 50 kilograms each. Numerous other products in the lorry.
Bought per kilo 5,100 shillings, meaning that a bag of 50 kg is 255,000. Multiplied it by 190 bags. It's around 48-point-something million shillings.
Coffee, unlike other products in my background, has regulations through which it has to be exported outside the country. Now, this lorry has been impounded because the owner was just smuggling it outside.
The charge that we charged these people with are dealing in coffee without a license, exporting coffee without exporter's certificate, and exporting coffee that has not been checked by Uganda Coffee Development Authority to get the quality certificate.
Whenever you are selling a coffee, you make sure that you should sell to someone which has all the requirements. But now the law is now on me. Yet me, I can say I'm innocent. I came with my money to buy. The one whom I bought it from did not tell me that when you are buying a coffee, you have to follow this and that. So me, I can challenge that law.
The Fuso lorry number UBD 295G was impounded 2 weeks back in Bwaise by police in partnership with Interpol and Uganda Coffee Development Authority while heading to South Sudan. The sacks with a disguised label ban have been taken by UCDA to check the quality. The exporter is to be charged as per the Coffee Regulations 1994. I'm Nafka Farida, reporting in Kampala.
Now, Absa Group Limited is to officially land in Uganda by the end of the year with the purpose of rebranding and finally taking over Barclays Uganda. Barclays Bank officials, contrary to speculations of an earlier fall in customers, have told our reporters that with the change of the brand, the bank is to realize more growth to a double-digit tune. Now, as Barclays turns from blue to red, Absa, it is still to question whether the bank can retain its clientele or later alone attract more with their new theme of Africanness.
As Barclays Africa at that particular point in time, that we would like to move to a single brand. The single brand started because our parent company, which was at that point in time PLC, moved from a 60+ market shareholding to a 14.9%. So the change is not, so yes, you will see the brand change. You will see the change in the red palette that has become synonymous with Absa, but it's largely inspired by the African sun, and you'll see a lot of red and the different palette of red in our brand.
We're investing lots of money. In certain areas we have practically putting up new structures. In certain areas we are renovating or relocating. So the key is the new brand is going to land with better experience as you land. Just an example, go and see the changes that we are doing in Lugogo branch. So that's the experience